Hi, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of
Heavenly Chats. I'm Chloe.
And I'm Emma.
And today we're talking about faith endurance and perseverance.
Yep. Okay, we just need to rip the prayer out.
Yes.
And then we'll get.
I'll pray. You prayed last week.
Okay.
Deep breath. Lord, I thank you for bringing Emma and I here together. Lord, I pray that you speak through us and for us, that we can bring people closer to you and speak into them. Lord, I pray that you answer things that they need and they can hear to better their day and whatever they're going through. Lord, I pray that they go to you and that you can shed some light on whatever they need, Lord. And I just ask that you watch over Emma and I through this week and through this episode, and we give all glory and praise to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay.
This can be fire. Actually.
This
I'm
topic,
ready to go.
So am I.
The last 2 weeks, I've been dead. The week before, 2 weeks ago, I was sick. Last week, I was just, I don't know. I really don't know what was wrong with me last week. But
we're back.
Today, I'm feeling I'm I could cry, but I could also scream at the same time.
I'm through my luteal phase. I'm in the cycle, but I always feel good on my cycle. I'm ready to go. I'm revived.
I'm giving on root too.
We are.
I have green bra on, orange and pink leggings, and I'm literally giving sherbet ice cream.
Right.
And I'm here for it.
You guys, I experienced the most intense. I actually think it was a spiritual attack this weekend. It was the first time I think in my walk with God that I have felt this intense attack on my mind. And it's so crazy because last week we were talking about on the episode, I was literally God, use me, refine me. I said, I want to be like this with Jesus. And I really think because of that, I think God was one, refining me, and two, also the warfare that I was going through and the attack on me. You guys, I was about to break. I can't explain it. I don't even know. I was in bed and my mind was fear and anxiety ridden. I was it wasn't a panic attack though, but it was I genuinely couldn't see through the other side of a situation. And I'm there's just no way I'm strong enough. And I had to literally gather myself. And you guys, it was going it was hours until I had this moment where I was what am I doing? I'm God, if this isn't I wasn't speaking this out loud, I could have. But in my head, I was God, if this thought isn't from me, remove it. I only want to hear God speak. And I'm I always tell my negative thoughts to go to hell, and I had it. And so I started doing that in my head. I was go to hell, negative thought. And I was I rebuke anything that isn't from the Lord. And the way within minutes, you guys, it was my mind was clearing up and I could hear God. And I was getting these weird revelations and these weird, not weird, but just it felt oh my gosh, God's actually speaking to me right now. And I'm I felt calm and I felt peace and I felt wow, actually God is going to get me through this. And if he doesn't, then it's not meant for me, you know? And it was just so crazy because before that, my mind was so crazy busy with all of these thoughts of I can't do this. And I was fear and anxiety. When you feel anxious, you almost can't hear your own thoughts.
I think anxiety literally is the fear of it never going away. When I get anxious, my thing is it's never going to go away. You just feel you're never going to be the same again. And it's changing the whole trajectory of your entire life. Everyone has different experiences with it for sure. But it's crazy to see how much just speaking to him be these thoughts need to go. These scary things need to go. It's a whole new perspective in your mind, and the enemy and God are fighting. You could almost feel it in your mind of what second you're I'm gonna be fighting, and the next second you're I literally can't do this. And it's pull and tug and pull and tug, and you're oh my gosh, I literally don't know if I'm gonna be okay. And it's the scariest feeling, but once you make it through, you're you just feel so much clearer. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And it's so crazy when you're going through this, how clouded your mind can be from God. You can't hear him. You literally can only hear the negative and feel the negative and experience the negative. You're living in that. And until you wake up and you literally, for me, I have to just tell it to go to hell, go back from where you came from thought. There's power in that. It's a prayer, you're speaking to God and give me the strength. And to just kind of humbling yourself and realizing in situations, you don't have to do it on your own. I knew this scenario, I was so anxious because I'm barely getting by right now, as what I was doing. And I knew something needed to change. I'm telling you guys, God's refining me and he's calling me higher and it's uncomfortable. But there was a point where I was like, I can't do it. Like, I literally will not be able to do that. And then I'm like, I don't have to do it on my own. Like, God's actually going to do it. And like, God will carry me through it. And it gives you peace, but you forget those things when you're so clouded, like your head's so busy. And since, like, it took me maybe a day to like shake out of it. And I woke up and I was like, wow. And like, I am getting through it, and it is just fine. And I actually feel closer to God than ever. And I feel more clear, and I feel more aligned. I think aligned's like the best way to put it. Like, these last few days, again, I'm in the menstrual cycle. Like, I'm kind of like thriving once again. Like, I'm through the luteal phase, which I think is when I'm like at my weakest, my most vulnerable. And I think also the enemy knows when we're vulnerable, and the enemy knows kind of when to like prowl and attack.
Kick dirt on it.
Yeah, it was the perfect.
Does like the dirt.
Yeah,
he grows some flowers.
Exactly. And he has. And it's like, I feel this like new like calling, I guess, or this new like drive towards, I guess, my faith. And it's really removed a lot of insecurity and a lot of anxiety regarding my faith, regarding my life, my future, like everything. Because essentially it's all up to God. And if I'm like obedient and doing what he calls me to do, like, it's gonna work itself out.
Right.
So that was kind of my personal intro. Emma, you probably have some stuff you can speak on too. I feel like we both kind of went through it this last week, but
dude, I don't know what I don't have an issue, but like, when you just, your spirit feels uneasy.
Yeah.
It's like, you just feel like something's off. I still kind of have it a little bit, but that's okay. Like, it's getting better and like more clear. And like one little thing will like open up like my faith meter like 100%, and I'm like, oh wow, like it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And then you have something that like lowers it, and then it grows again, and then it lowers, then it grows, then it lowers. But like, the reason you go through like the ups and the downs is to know that when you're low, that like you can get to the high point again. You know what I mean? So endurance, I always kind of think about it like running marathons. Like, when you get like your packet trying a marathon or training for, like me, it was soccer, whatever, you get your packet. Week 1, you start out with X amount of miles. Week 2, you do to whatever. And so endurance, the actual like definition is the ability to withstand hardships and unpleasant processes or situations without giving way, to withstand with courage despite fatigue. Which,
despite fatigue, is huge to me. Like,
it's crazy. It's like, that's the like discipline side of it, of like, even if I don't feel like this, I'm gonna do it anyways. Even when you got bad news, you're going to do it anyways. When you got the bad medical report, you're still going to pray anyways. Like, whether you feel like it's working or not, every single thing that God brings you through is like for a greater purpose, which, like, when you're saying, like, when you're so clouded by it, you literally like can't see it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because like, I'm kind of going through it too, where it's like, what do I do now? Like, I've prayed, I've asked, I haven't heard anything, I don't see anything.
Yeah.
Now what do I do now?
That waiting season's so uncomfortable.
I finally kind of like gave it up to God, where I was like, I'm just going to keep being me. I'm going to show up. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to put my shoulders back, do me. And like, whatever happens is not up to me anymore. Like,
yeah. I think when we as humans like try to take control of a situation, it actually goes so much worse.
Right.
And we have to surrender it. And I think a lot of the times we're put in situations where God's testing us and being like, how much do you trust me? Like, how much control are you still trying to like have over this? Whether that's your relationships, whether that's your career, whether that's with anything you're like training for, going through in life. It's so hard to give up control and be like, okay, like I'll kind of stop. But there's like that difference where we always say, like, you still have to like take a step and take action towards God and his callings to you. But I think being still and being obedient and just like mentally being like, okay, like, I trust you. And you've equipped me for this situation, and I'm going to handle it as best as I can. Like you said, like, I'm going to show up as myself, and just trust that God has placed you specifically, intentionally in a situation for a reason. He's teaching you something, like, whether it's good or bad in the moment, like, it's purposeful, and he can make all things good. So it's like, whatever you're walking through, if it's a mistake you've made, if it's someone's doing you wrong, it's like, there's still like a lesson to be learned from God. But it does get hard, because like in that quote you read where I said fatigue like stands out to me, there's a point in this process where you get fatigued and you're exhausted and you're questioning, and it's like, God, when is this over? Why am I still walking through this? Like, I have brought it to you. I have surrendered it to you. I pray to you every day. Like, I'm making action, like taking corrective action as you feel led to. like you're seeking out advice or you're doing everything you can and then nothing's changing, God's building endurance. And he's building endurance because you need that going forward.
And you don't know why.
Right.
Yeah, I've said this. This is like, should just be my life quote. I should put it on a t-shirt. But like, you're chasing something you can't see.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be easy. Like when you're walking by faith and not by sight. Like if we could see the beautiful rainbow at the end, we'd be like, oh, we're just going to keep on going. We just got to get to the end. We don't know when the end is. We don't know where the end is. We don't know what's at the end. We don't know anything. Yeah. So at the end of the day, you're just chasing and chasing and chasing something that you can't necessarily see, but it's so worth it once you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like that person was supposed to be there for a reason, or that situation was supposed to happen for a reason. And I think we were talking about the other day with somebody in the social media realm of going through a really tough time of like, I could see why people resent God because how does he let such bad things happen?
Yeah.
And I've gotten that question asked so many times, or it's just like thrown around in the Christian space where it's like, why does God let bad things happen? Mm-hmm. And the truth is, like, I don't fully know, but I know that it's for a greater purpose because he knows that either they're lost and like they need to come back home, and maybe the only thing that they'll know left to do is to go to him, or a family member will go to him, or whatever it is. Like, it's for a greater purpose. It's not that he wants that bad thing to happen, but it's for something greater that they can't necessarily see yet. And it's like so horrible to think, but it's just the truth.
I always say too, it's like sometimes God will make you hit rock bottom to realize like he's the rock at the bottom. And for people too who like have shame with like where they've been or where they're at right now, it's like, it's okay. Like God has you where he wants you to be, whether that is rock bottom, like he has you there intentionally, like maybe it took up until that point.
Right.
Pray to God it doesn't, but like I've hit my low. Like everyone's rock bottom is going to be a different depth, you know, but it's like, it's still rock bottom for you. It's still an all-time low. But God will dig you up from it. Like I today even just posted like a transformational photo, and like just looking back in the last couple of years, I'm like, dude, I was lost. I was at rock bottom and I didn't realize it. Sometimes you don't realize it until you're out of it. And it's like, you look back, but then like Emma said, all the pieces make more sense. Like you're like even this weekend when I was going through it, as I was going through it, there's like 3 big things last week. Last week was a great week. And there was a lot of things that I was like talking to God about and I was grateful for, but opened up my vulnerability, I think, also. And as this like spiritual attack was happening, I'm almost out on the other side being like, you know what? I'm grateful because it means I'm close to God. And it means that like what I'm doing, like I'm growing in my faith.
Is worth getting attacked. Does that make sense? Like he wouldn't be attacking you if like you weren't a threat.
Yes. So it's like exactly.
Is that the right word? Right.
I think so. Like
if you weren't a threat to like the kingdom of God, like in the enemy's mind, he wouldn't be like
attacking you.
He wouldn't be like bothering you. You know, like when you're playing a sport and you're like, oh, that person's like not their biggest asset on the team. You're like, we don't really need to like guard them as easy, or we don't need to tackle them as hard. Like, when you know someone always scores the touchdown or always scores the goal, like you're gonna heavily guard them. More. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I genuinely think
I always like to give visuals.
Yeah. No, I like the sports analogies because it makes more sense. But like looking back, it's like, okay, that makes sense now. And I think when you're close to God and you have that awareness and you have that perspective, it makes going through that easier. Again, in the moment, I was like crashing out. Kyler was like, Chloe, like, I still love you, but like you were crashing out. And I was like, I know, but like I came out of it and I was like,
you're like, I actually don't know what happened.
That was like an out of body experience. Like I don't experience that very often, if ever. Like that was really my first time like feeling the way I felt, and it was so crazy, but it wasn't out of the blue, and I was kind of not expecting it, but when it happened I wasn't surprised. But again, it's like I have the perspective and I've had to like control my thoughts and my mind because it's really powerful. Again, like you have to surrender things. It's probably kind of like confusing when I'm like, I have to control my thoughts and my mind. But like we're saying, like give control to God. But again, I'm just like defending my mind. Kind of like we have to protect our hearts and guard our hearts. We have to guard our mind. And like that's what I'm learning to do in situations. And a way that I like to do that is to focus like on the positive. Like God's putting me through this for a reason, rather than like taking that victim mindset and like feeling like
I'm like, why is this happening to me?
Yeah. And again, it's so easy.
Which is normal.
That. It's so normal. And that's like a human experience. But it's so much easier to get through when it's like, okay, God, I don't know why. Like, I'm so, like, you can be mad at God. Like, I was mad at God. I'm like, it's just so frustrating. I'm over it. Like, God, like, I was like over God for a split second. And I'm not like ashamed to admit it. Cause like, again, I'm not actually ashamed of God. Like, trust me. But in that moment, like, I can see why people turn away and I can see why people get so discouraged. But it's like when you have that perspective of like, no, this is good for me. This is like for me. This is for me. You truly, like, you begin to like live that out and it's not as heavily like weighing on you.
Right. It can kind of be the same with like good things. Like, the good feels so much better when you know what he's delivered you already from.
Yeah.
And like, then he gives you the high points to like look back on when you're in a valley, to be like, I've been there, I can get there again.
Yeah.
Like, he's brought me through this. So he'll bring it through. Like,
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Or like
through that
for somebody else, like if I'm like, oh wow, like he did that for her and she was like having a panic attack, like I'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like a testimony within itself,
For sure.
which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But I found this quote. It's from James 1:3. It says, "For you know, when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow." So when everything feels like it's getting tested, I can't think of like an example off the top of my head, but like what you endure has a chance to like withstand whatever is being tested.
It's like a muscle. It's like when you endure like more reps at a heavier weight, like you're actually stronger.
Right.
So it's telling you like when you endure more throughout your like walk with God, the stronger your faith is going to be and the stronger relationship you're going to have with God.
Right.
So that's like a beautiful thing. Again, it's like in the training, in the hard workouts, in the hard like sets, it sucks, but the outcome is so much more worth it.
Right.
Like people don't go put themselves through brutal workouts for no reason. It's like the reward is worth the pain, I guess.
Right. And everything that has a good outcome is hard.
Yeah.
I like had to really realize this because I'm like, anything that anyone had to do to get to where they are, of people like you admire,
totally,
is like a hard thing, which I'm sure you guys already know this. It's like common sense. But like when you really actually get it through your head,
when you are walking
you're like,
through it,
wow.
And there's like a situation that isn't necessarily like
ideal.
It's hard. Like even being in like a Christian dating relationship, it's hard. But like I'm glad it's hard.
We've been
no, it's gonna like make it worth it, you know? It's like it's not easy to like
do it right.
Refrain from everything. Yeah. And like
there's no right or wrong way.
Right.
There is, but like everyone has their own way.
Yeah. But it's like it's hard. It's hard, but then it's like you saying that though, it's proving that it'll be so worth it and it's for something so good. So if you're both willing to like stick out the hard, that's a really good sign. Like you're really disciplined. And I think anything that comes easy isn't worth having. So it's like when those relationships just like you do everything easy and you do everything like for like satisfaction and for like your desires, I guess, and flesh
or whatever.
And pleasure. And like you just don't actually like take into account God's time and God's plan, God's path, God's intentions with things. I wouldn't want it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's not the relationship I'd want to be in. In the moment, does it feel easy? Yeah. But like I'm concerned about like the longevity and the endurance. Like I want to have a relationship that's like been through it and like has a strong endurance and a solid foundation that we've built.
Right. And everyone has their own time.
Yeah.
And we can't like this based off of like every single podcast episode we've ever had. Like we can't compare, and not everyone's timeline's the same, and we have to surrender, and then you also have to like dig deep and then go through the trials. Like it's literally everything we've ever talked about, like and
all in one
thing right now.
Yeah.
Do you have a quote?
Yeah, I have a few different verses that I found, but our pastor always reads James 1, 2-4, and it says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." And so breaking that down, it's like, just consider it all pure joy. Like I said, consider it a good thing. And it's so hard to do. I know, like, I know it's not easy to do. But whenever we face many trials, know that it's testing our faith. And when we're tested, it's producing something typically, you know, like it's,
Right.
you're tested before you're given like a final score or like an award kind of thing. So when you're going through the trial, know something is coming out of it. That's
Right.
like a blessing. And it produces perseverance, which again is like mature and complete, and it's not lacking anything. So when you can persevere and you can get through whatever it is, like you're not going to lack, and no one wants to lack in their faith or in their life. Oh, I just love that verse.
Yeah. I always think about like fruit, like versus fruit. Sometimes I think like God puts you through things to like get more of those out of you. So joy, love, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Galatians 5. You're like, that's why fruit's called produce. This is like you're producing something in, I always like associated together, like you're producing something in yourself that maybe you don't have. Like maybe you're not as kind, or maybe you're not as gentle or patient or joyful or loving or kind or whatever. Self-control. You don't have any self-control. Like I think sometimes, like we say like all the time, like if you pray for patience, oh, you're gonna like get put through some really frustrating times in traffic, and you're like gonna want to rip your hair out, I promise you. And you're gonna be like, but you're not gonna get any better at anything. Like you learn this when you're 5 years old. Like you can't, practice makes perfect. Like you're not gonna get good at anything if you don't do it. You know, like if you don't go out and throw the football, you're not gonna be able to throw a spiral. Like it's just not gonna work. It's everything that you learn when you're 5 and you're in kindergarten. Literally is what you like. Screw high school. You know, I didn't learn anything from high school. Kindergarten, I learned some real valuable stuff because I'm still using it now. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's be real. Let's be real.
Yeah.
My ABCs.
My ABCs.
Go ahead.
There's a few more verses. This one is Colossians 1:11. It says, being strengthened with all power according to his glorious might, so that you may have great endurance and patience. And so it's literally saying like he's strengthening you to have endurance and patience, because endurance and patience are hard to come by. Like being put through the process to gain that is so uncomfortable, and it's so frustrating, and it's hard. And it sucks. Like it sucks having to build endurance. Trust me, I've ran a half marathon. Like that process is not fun, but the outcome is so worth it.
Right.
Being patient, like it's actually going to be so beneficial in your life, because you're going to be able to like, there's going to be so many more moments where your stress and your cortisol are just lower because you have patience and you're not getting stressed and worked up and overreacting over things. But again, like the process of becoming patient is not fun because you're tested in that area. That's like so frustrating.
I just had something fire I was going to say, but no, I forgot. Keep talking. It'll come to me if you have anything else to say.
There's a couple more verses. So this one's more about like suffering, but it says Romans 5:3-5.
Me sitting here like contemplating life. I'm like, what was I thinking about?
And it says, not only so, but we are also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. And hope does not put us to shame. So it's like, he's literally like explaining the process of like what we're going through. And it's like, you're going through a suffering to produce perseverance. And when you have perseverance, you can get through life better. Like you can get through the challenges better. Like life becomes better, like more abundant, full. And like you can help people, and you can, I feel like, just be a better disciple when you have perseverance and the ability to do so, because then it produces better character. And I think that's where confidence stems from. I think that's where life is like, where a lot of things should be rooted in is like your character, because that's like what's unwavering about somebody. That's like what's not fleeting. It's like who you are to your core. Like your character reflects like your heart, you know, and your heart reflects everything.
Right.
Like your heart shows.
Right.
Like it's telling what's inside, you know? Yeah. And then character produces hope. And hope does not put us to shame. So like when you have hope of like the future, and like I feel like hope and faith are so similar.
They're basically the same thing, I feel like.
So what you were saying?
Yeah. I've always been told this since I was little. It's like he chooses his greatest soldiers for his toughest battles. So like if you are just like constantly kind of going through something, like sometimes I have to remind myself like, okay, like if I couldn't get through this, he wouldn't have brought me here.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't bring you to like drop you off a cliff. Like he didn't bring me this far to bring me this far to just do nothing about it. So like it's a good peaceful reminder of like, okay, like he didn't bring me here to this situation just be like, all right, you're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
No, you know what I mean? So you're like, okay, he brought me here for a reason. I just haven't seen it yet. And so you just have the faith, endurance to keep going. And so like, it's just easier to kind of get through it when you think about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the quote? It's like like what he brings you to, he'll bring you through, basically.
Yeah, he's not going to bring you through anything he can't, or he's not going to bring you to anything he won't get you through.
Right.
And that reminded me of another quote I saw. I literally think I saw it on Pinterest, but it's like, if your journey's harder, it's because your calling's higher.
Right.
And I'm like, that's like very, it's a great reminder. So it's like, if you are going through like a valley, he's preparing you for like a mountaintop, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But again,
that's just life.
Because he doesn't just hand the mountaintops to you. He doesn't just hand those blessings to you right away. He like challenges you and he refines you and prepares you to like steward it, like we always say. So again, it's like, count it all joy, count it all a blessing, even though I know it doesn't feel like it. Like, you can feel like you're quite literally losing your mind. I did. I was like, what is going on? Like, you feel so frustrated and confused, and we've been like mad almost at God. But like I always say too, it's like God doesn't care how like you come to him. He just wants you to come to him. So when you're upset, when you're mad, when you're confused, when you like don't want to like do what God's telling you to do and you just want to walk away, it's like, just don't do that. That doesn't, God's to like, just don't. That's what you shouldn't do. Like,
don't do it.
You can go to him and you can be mad, you can be frustrated, you can be confused, you can have your doubts. But as long as you're like taking them to God, he'll take care of the rest.
Right.
Like, he'll work on you and work on your heart and he'll give you what you need. But he can't do that when you don't go to him and when you go to like anything and everything else, whether that's like a vice, whether that's an idol, whether that's even sometimes just a friend. It's like, some things just take to God first.
Right. And
because
I learned that.
I learned that the freaking hard way too.
I said, but what I was going to say is like, I think whenever you seek someone else for advice, and it's just like, advice is good from the right people. It's good.
Just pray over it and use your discernment.
Yes.
And listen to like your gut when you hear something.
Am I okay today? I forgot again.
You were talking about advice and seeking advice from people.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes when you walk away from it and I get this like weird feeling where I'm like, people just don't understand what I'm trying to say. Like, you just don't, you don't get it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not in my situation. You don't get it. And like, you try to explain it to somebody, but it's literally like my fault because I'm like trying to explain it when I like shouldn't even be trying to explain it. Because like, he literally created me. So like, he already knows how I feel.
Yeah.
So he's probably up there like, bro, stop telling them. Like, just tell me. And so it's like, you always walk away and you're like, you don't feel bad. You don't feel worse, but you're like, I just feel almost like misunderstood in a way. And it's not like their fault or your fault. But like sometimes the only person that like understands truly like deeply how you feel is like the one that literally gave you this.
Right. Well, think too, it's like when you are seeking advice, people can only give advice based on their own experiences.
Right.
And so it's going to be biased or it's going to be filtered. It's not like pure advice. Like I feel like God's advice is pure because there's no like preconceived notions, there's no biases, there's no preference, there's no opinions, there's no whatever. It's just like the truth. But when you're seeking people's advice, even if it's good intentions, it's like it's still like filtered in a sense. So you just have to be really careful on like who you seek guidance from and like pray over it, pray over the conversation, pray like after, but like how it settles with you. Because I don't think you should bottle up everything, but I think with like a big situations and stuff, you have to kind of take everything with a grain of salt other than like what God tells you.
Right.
But I think you'll like, once you begin to become closer to God too, I think your discernment kicks in
so much greater.
And like you will like have a much different perspective on like advice because it's like, okay, I understand their intention, where they're coming from, but that still just like doesn't apply. Like you still feel misunderstood and it's like, that's okay. But just like trust in your own like God has a Holy Spirit's the gift. So it's like utilize it. Like don't just forget about it. I used to do that and it was getting me into trouble. Is like I would just throw all my like discernment out the window and just take everything everyone said as like factual and apply it, even though sometimes it wasn't even like a thought I had. and an experience I had, but I heard it. I'm like, wait, yeah, that's probably right. I'm like, why am I making something out of nothing? Like, I don't know. It's just it's tricky, especially when you're in a vulnerable position, I think, too. When you're like seeking advice, you're usually vulnerable.
Right.
So it's like easy for that to happen. So I just think praying over conversations is important.
Fire.
That's probably my only advice with that, but
Oh, I literally can't like anymore.
I think we're gonna call it a wrap. No, because
I literally say every single time we're done, like we don't even like plan to be done. We're both just like have nothing else.
the Holy Spirit's like, all right.
He says, shut it.
And
that's right.
tuning out.
Well, thanks for listening, guys.
We hope this helps. Share this with someone you think might need it if they're going through something. Share it to your story. We don't know. We just want it to reach the people it needs to reach. So,
right.
we love you guys so much. We will see you next week, and we'll see you in heaven.